Hello and welcome to Apex Reviews. We're going to be doing a project today that I've been super excited to do. We're going to be adding red ambient footwell lights that stay on while you're driving. They're fully adjustable. They can be bright or dim or off, but my favorite part is they stay on while driving, giving you a little bit of ambient light at night. I was a little nervous about doing this since I'll be building it myself, but it turned out really well. So here goes. We're going to start on the driver's side by pulling off this plastic cover. Now in a later video I changed that white light to a red light, and in fact all the lights in my car are now red, so of course I had to go with the red ambient lights. But that's neither here nor there. After we pull the driver's side, we'll pull the passenger side out too. Putting your phone on the floorboard and using the front-facing camera was a really helpful tool to help see these pins that you have to pull out. There's 3 of them on the driver's side. I just used my standard interior tool to pry these out. It did take a little bit of work. There's no screwing or unscrewing. They just literally pull out. It took some elbow grease, but I was also trying to be real careful so that I didn't damage it. You can see here what it looks like. Obviously I did damage some of the fins on there. As long as it still works, I'll reuse it. If not, they're easy to order. There's 2 in the front under the steering wheel and then 1 in the back near the gas pedal. You definitely have to pull out the front too, but whether you want to pull out that third or not is up to you. I'm going to focus on the driver's side first, so in order to get prepared I pulled out my T15 Torex and started pulling the armrest off. This is pretty easy. It's just 3 screws and then popping it off of its retaining nub. You can see here by my left index finger where that little nub pops in. You can put this away, you won't need it. Next I took the shifter knob off so I could lift up the center console and have some room to work under there. Next, using my pry tool, I took off this side leather trim piece. It really wasn't difficult. Be careful though, because near the front where your knee would be, there's actually a hook. It slides backwards towards the rear of the car. Make sure not to break that off. Using the pry tool, I started popping the clips from this centerpiece. Once you pop those up, the centerpiece actually slides toward the back of the car and disconnects from underneath your air conditioning panel. You should be able to lift the back of this up just slightly and pull it towards you to get the front unclipped. I had to be real careful. It made me a little nervous. Once I was able to lift this centerpiece up, it gave me access to the wires that was supplying power to the power port inside of the center console. That's what I planned on using to power my LED lights. I disconnected it from the power port and pulled it out gently just to give myself a little bit of room to work. You'll have to pull a little bit of the sheathing off just to get to the bare wire. I use these pinch splices that I got from Home Depot. You put the existing wire onto one side and the new wire on the other side, and then you push down on this metal tab and it makes the connection. I've used these before and they've always worked really well. I use these to tap into the power wire. I was working really hard to prevent doing something that I couldn't possibly undo later. This red and black wire is what I spliced into the power wire. You can see here I used blue connectors. I know I showed you some red ones, but I chose the blue ones because I felt like they were the right gauge. Then I just ran the power wires under the carpet towards the footwell. I bought a spool of red and black 16 gauge wire, and that's what I've been using to connect the power to the LED lights. It was real easy to hide the wires under this carpet. Everything was readily available. Next, I got my 7/32 drill bit. This was a pretty good size. I did have to wiggle the drill bit a little bit just to loosen it up ever so slightly, but the LED lights I purchased fit really well. I got these small LED lights off of Amazon. They're not very expensive. I ordered 2 of them, one for each side. They provide quite a bit of light for their size, and they mount flush, so they are super discreet. I decided to drill the hole more towards the front of the plate than the back. Given the small size, I knew it wouldn't get in the way, and I wanted to make sure that there was enough light in that footwell to make it worth my while. This was also a very easy place to access. Then you just run the wire up through the hole. You can see it mounts flush. It's barely noticeable. There's 2 nuts that secure the light. One to cinch it down and one to lock it to make sure it doesn't move. There's a decent amount of wire coming off the LED light. I wasn't worried about whether or not I had enough. Now let's just leave that there for a second and take a look at the passenger side. Again, using your front-facing camera on your cell phone was a great tool to see these 2 pins. There'll be 2 of them near the front. You don't have to take this piece all the way out. I started looking for a good spot where I could mount this LED. You can see in this video I've already done the red LED conversion. Don't pay any attention to those lights. I found a nice spot right underneath this sound deadening material. Installing the light is the same as before. I run the lead out towards the center of the car. My plan is to pull it underneath the console. I fed my fish tape through the center console. You can see where it peeks out on the other side. It's right near where the passenger's left knee would be. I used a little bit of electrical tape to attach the passenger side LED ambient light to the fish tape, and then I just pulled it through nice and gentle. It actually was a lot easier than I thought. This is the rheostat switch that I purchased, again, off of Amazon. It allows for power on, power off, and dimming. It's worked like a champ, and it's nice and small. I used a $1 piece of aluminum from Home Depot that's usually used to connect 2x4s. I used my tin snips to make a small bracket. I'll show you where it mounts later. Then I covered the bracket in some duct tape so that it prevents it from damaging anything. All of this will be underneath the dash, so you don't need to worry about anybody seeing it. Now it's just as easy as connecting red to red and black to black. I used wire nuts and then wrapped some electrical tape around that. Make sure to follow the directions on the rheostat switch. 2 of those wires need to go to the power plug, and then the rest of the wires need to go to the LED lights. Once I had everything wired up, I fed the wires into an open space behind the dash. The bolt you see here was already part of the car, so I just backed it out and used it to secure my homemade bracket. I cut my bracket to length so that the switch would actually fit right up next to the car, but not protrude out. There is some space there if you use the same switch that I used. Here you can see the final installation. Unless you're on your knees looking under the dash, you never really see it, and you never touch it with your leg or knee. I've never accidentally hit it. It is really quite out of the way. The footwell of the Corvette's pretty dark while driving at night. Some people probably enjoy that, but I like a little bit of ambient light down there. With everything wired up to that rheostat switch, you can change how dim or bright the lights actually get, or turn them off completely. This is right now is one of my favorite projects. I hope it works out for you. Thanks for watching.